Ladies and gentlemen, tonight I want to speak to you about something that stirs the soul, something that shakes us in the quiet hours of the night, something that leaves us wondering, weeping, remembering, and searching. Why do you dream of the dead? Is it just memory? Is it guilt? Is it love that never found its words? Or could it be something deeper, something eternal? You see, I believe the human heart was not made for death. It was made for life. But in this fallen world, we walk through shadows. And in the silence of sleep, the past sometimes knocks on the door of our hearts, not to haunt us, but to awaken us. Awaken us to purpose. Awaken us to healing. Awaken us to destiny. And tonight, by the grace of God, we're going to dive into that mystery, not to be afraid of it, but to find a message in it. Because every dream has a reason, and some dreams have a calling. Dreams have fascinated humanity for centuries. They are mysterious, unpredictable, and often deeply emotional experiences. Among the most stirring of all dreams are those in which we see people who have passed away. Loved ones, friends, even distant acquaintances who are no longer alive. These dreams tend to leave a lasting impression. And one of the most common reasons behind these dreams is the presence of unresolved emotions. When we lose someone close to us, the grieving process begins, but it doesn't always finish. We might bury our emotions, distract ourselves with work, or simply suppress the pain in order to survive. Life moves on, but that doesn't mean our hearts always do. Deep down, the mind keeps processing what happened, and the emotions we try to avoid or suppress begin to take shape in the quiet hours of the night. Dreams of the dead often occur when we haven't fully let go, not just of the person, but of the emotions attached to them. These could be feelings of guilt, things left unsaid, love unexpressed, forgiveness not granted, or even anger never confronted. In the waking world, we often avoid these emotions because they are too painful, too heavy, or too confusing. But the subconscious mind, in its mysterious wisdom, doesn't forget. It continues to carry the emotional weight, and in our dreams, it begins to unpack it. A person might dream of a parent who passed away years ago, not because they missed them more that week, but because something in life triggered an emotional memory. Maybe it was the way someone spoke, a smell, a place, or even a moment of silence. And in that quiet space, the soul remembers. The dream becomes a portal not to the afterlife, but to our own emotional history. It reveals that there are still layers within us that haven't fully healed or been understood. These unresolved emotions aren't necessarily negative. Sometimes they are full of beauty and longing. A dream may reflect how much someone meant to us. It could be a reminder of their influence, their love, or their presence in our lives. The heart brings their image back into focus to help us process what they meant and still mean to our journey. These are emotions that linger because they were significant. The dream isn't always about moving on, it's about acknowledging the depth of that bond. In other cases, however, the dream stirs up regret. Perhaps we didn't make peace with the person. Maybe the relationship was broken, or we didn't say goodbye. In dreams, the dead may speak, or sometimes they're silent, but their presence communicates something. It's as though the mind is trying to create a scenario where we can confront what we couldn't in real life. The dream becomes a sacred space to revisit what we avoided or could never complete. Unresolved emotions can also arise from trauma. If someone died suddenly, tragically, or in a painful way, those images and feelings can become trapped in the subconscious. The dream becomes a way for the mind to revisit the moment, not to re-traumatize, but to process and eventually heal. It's a way of saying, this still hurts, and I need to understand why. The dream helps us connect the dots between pain and memory, between experience and emotion. Moreover, our relationship with the dead does not end when they pass, it evolves. And sometimes our dreams reflect this evolution. As we grow, change, and reflect, we see the past differently. We may begin to understand people in ways we couldn't before. A parent who once seemed cold might be understood as someone who was struggling. A friend who disappeared from our life might be seen through the lens of compassion rather than confusion. These new understandings often trigger emotional shifts, and they find their way into our dreams. There is also the aspect of longing. The dead may appear in dreams simply because we miss them. Our emotions haven't found a new place to settle. We wish they could see who we've become, what we've overcome, how far we've come. These dreams are less about sorrow and more about connection. The emotional tie is still strong, and the dream becomes a momentary reunion, sweet, emotional, and often tearful upon waking. Unresolved emotions are not weaknesses. They are markers of how deeply we feel. When someone touches our life in a profound way, they leave a mark on our soul. Dreams of the dead often reflect that lingering imprint. They remind us that while time passes, love and emotion are not bound by the calendar. Dreams are more than just random images or fragments of thought. They often hold deeper meaning, especially when they involve people who have passed away. When we dream of the dead, it's not always just a sign of memory or grief. It can also be a message. These dreams frequently carry lessons, signals, or insights that aim to bring healing and closure to the dreamer. In life, closure is not always easy to find. Sometimes a person passes away suddenly, leaving behind unfinished conversations, broken relationships, or emotional wounds that never had time to mend. In the chaos of real life, we rarely have the chance to tie up every loose end. Words go unspoken, feelings are buried, questions are left hanging in the air. The soul, however, doesn't forget. It remembers those unfinished moments, and in dreams it creates the space for resolution. The dead appear not as ghosts to scare us, but as messengers to comfort, guide, or help us process what was left behind. When someone dreams of a departed loved one, it's often accompanied by strong emotion. The dream may feel vivid, personal, and even sacred. In some cases, the dream feels more real than waking life. That emotional weight is part of the message. It tells us that something within us is still reaching for peace. The appearance of the dead in our dreams becomes an invitation to confront emotions we may not fully understand during the day. They may come with words of reassurance, a smile, or simply their presence, and that alone can begin to soothe the heart. Some people report dreams in which the dead say they are at peace, that they forgive, or that they are proud of the dream. These moments are powerful and can shift a person's entire emotional state. Whether the message is coming from within the subconscious or from something beyond, the effect is the same. It brings healing. It allows the dreamer to breathe again, to feel lighter, to cry, to let go. These dreams act as a bridge between past pain and present peace, making room for emotional release that waking life often denies us. Other times, the message is not in words, but in presence. Simply seeing someone you loved alive and well in a dream can offer a sense of comfort that no amount of talking can replace. That brief encounter, even if silent, carries emotional power. It reminds the dreamer that love never really dies. The connection is still alive in the heart, and the dream affirms that truth. This kind of emotional reassurance can be a turning point in someone's journey through grief. Dreams of the dead also help the living to accept loss. Sometimes the pain of death is so overwhelming that the mind builds barriers. We numb ourselves, we push it away. But dreams break through those walls. They bring us face to face with our grief, not to crush us, but to begin the work of healing. A dream can reveal how much we've been holding back. It can bring to the surface the tears we never cried, the forgiveness we never gave, or the gratitude we never expressed. That release is the beginning of closure. In many cultures and spiritual traditions, dreams of the dead are not seen as mere coincidence. They are viewed as sacred encounters. Some believe the dead speak to us in dreams when we are ready to hear, when our hearts are open. Whether or not one believes in an afterlife, the psychological and emotional impact of such dreams cannot be denied. They often arrive at just the right time. When we're struggling, when we're questioning, when we need strength. The dream serves as a reminder that we are not alone, that healing is still possible. Sometimes the message is one of encouragement. A person might be going through a hard season in life, facing challenges that seem insurmountable. Then, in a dream, they see a loved one who once inspired or protected them. That dream can reignite a spark of courage. The presence of the dead becomes a quiet voice saying, keep going. You're stronger than you think. That encouragement, even in symbolic form, can be a turning point in someone's journey. Dreams of the dead are often deeply personal, but their message is almost always universal. There is more to life than what we see, and more to healing than just time. These dreams act as spiritual or emotional checkpoints, reminding us of where we've been, who we've loved, what still needs to be mended inside us. They offer the space to say what we couldn't before, to feel what we were afraid to feel, to let go of the weight we didn't know we were carrying. When we dream of those who have passed away, the experience is often more than just a memory or a moment of grief revisited. These dreams can act as a powerful mirror, reflecting our own mortality and reminding us of the purpose we carry in this life. Death, though inevitable, is something we try to keep at arm's length in our daily lives. But when it appears in our dreams, especially in the form of those we once knew and loved, it has a way of shaking us awake to the reality of time, legacy, and the limited moments we are given. Seeing someone who has died reminds us that life is fleeting. It brings the concept of mortality out of the abstract and places it directly in front of us. It forces us to pause, to reflect, and to question. What are we doing with the time we've been given? What truly matters? Are we living with intention or simply moving through the motions? The dead come back to us in dreams not only as reminders of what we've lost, but as symbols of the urgency of life. These dreams often stir something deep within. When we wake up, we may carry a sense of unease or emotional weight, not just because we saw a person we miss, but because that encounter touched something deeper. It made us question if we're living fully. It made us think about whether we've said the things we needed to say, done the things we were called to do, or lived in alignment with the values we say we believe in. Death in dreams is not meant to terrify us. It's meant to clarify us. It brings the essence of life into sharper focus. There is something profound about remembering that we too will one day be a memory. The people we dream about once walked where we now stand. They laughed, loved, struggled, and eventually left. Their time came to an end as ours someday will. That awareness, while sobering, can also be deeply motivating. It challenges us to live a life worth remembering. It calls us to rise above mediocrity, to let go of petty distractions, and to focus on what leaves a lasting impact. Sometimes a dream of the dead is less about grief and more about awakening. It can come at a moment when we are drifting, when we've lost our direction or forgotten our passion. In the silence of the night, a familiar face appears, not just to comfort, but to nudge us forward. Their presence in the dream world can act like a lighthouse, reminding us of the dreams we once had, the strength we forgot, the promises we made to ourselves. In this way, their return is not a haunting, it's a calling. Many people describe these dreams as feeling more real than anything else. The emotions are intense, the clarity is sharp, and that's because the dream is doing spiritual work. It's cutting through the noise of daily life and getting straight to the heart of what matters. Mortality has a way of stripping away the superficial. It reminds us that the clock is ticking and we are not promised tomorrow. The dream whispers truths we often avoid in the light of day. Purpose becomes clearer when viewed through the lens of impermanence. The dream may stir memories of a loved one who lived with conviction or someone who left with dreams unfulfilled. Either way, the emotional reaction within us is often a clue. Are we honoring their memory? Are we continuing their legacy? Or are we wasting time holding back, playing small? These dreams challenge us to live a life that answers those questions with integrity. There is also the element of inspiration. Sometimes in seeing the dead, we are reminded of their courage, their kindness, their resilience. Their lives now completed speak to us like a sermon. We remember their sacrifices, their laughter, their wisdom, and in doing so, we feel the stirrings of purpose return to our own souls. We are reminded that the best way to honor those who came before us is to live well now, not someday. Now, the dead do not return in dreams to pull us backward. More often, they appear to push us forward. Their presence can act as a sacred wake-up call, a reminder that the breath in our lungs is not to be wasted, a call to rise, to choose purpose over routine, to embrace the life we still have, what we still have. Dreams that involve those who have passed away often leave a lasting impact, not only because of the emotional weight they carry, but because of the mysterious way they unfold. Many times, these dreams are dismissed as figments of the imagination or as fragments of memory resurfacing in the subconscious mind. But for many people across cultures and throughout history, dreams of the dead are not seen as mere psychological phenomena. They are believed to be spiritual signals, messages sent through the veil of this world into the quiet places of the heart. When the dead appear in dreams, they often bring with them a sense of presence that feels different from ordinary dreams. These encounters are vivid, emotionally intense, and deeply personal. People frequently report feeling as though they were truly visited. The atmosphere of the dream can feel sacred or heavy, not in a negative way, but in a meaningful one. These moments often stand out from the usual randomness of sleep. The dream feels orchestrated, purposeful, and timed. It doesn't feel like something your brain simply created. It feels like something your soul received. These kinds of dreams often come at significant moments in life. Times of transition, grief, confusion, or spiritual searching seem to invite these experiences. It's during these moments of emotional vulnerability that the veil between the physical and spiritual seems to thin. The dead appear not to frighten or confuse us, but to bring reassurance, clarity, or even warning. Whether one interprets the dream spiritually or psychologically, the result is often the same: a sense of deeper understanding, a shift in emotion, or a renewed focus on what truly matters. The messages in these dreams are not always verbal. In fact, silence can be just as powerful. A simple look, a familiar gesture, a presence that radiates peace. These subtle signals speak volumes. They communicate comfort, forgiveness, or encouragement in ways that words cannot. Sometimes the person who appears in the dream doesn't say anything at all, but their presence is a reminder of love that hasn't faded, of guidance that is still available, and of connections that extend beyond death. In many traditions, dreams are seen as a spiritual bridge between dimensions. The soul during sleep becomes more open, more sensitive to things beyond the natural realm. In that state, it is believed that loved ones may visit, angels may whisper, and messages from the divine may be received. For some, these dreams confirm that life continues after death. For others, they serve as a spiritual checkpoint, urging the dreamer to realign with their higher calling, and inner truth, or their neglected faith. One of the most striking elements of these dreams is the timing. Often they come just when the dreamer needs them most. They may occur on an anniversary, during a season of hardship, or right before a major decision. The appearance of a departed loved one in a dream at such a time feels far too meaningful to be coincidence. It gives the impression that someone or something is watching, caring, guiding from beyond. This perceived divine timing reinforces the sense that these dreams are not accidents but appointments. Even people who are not particularly spiritual often report feeling changed by these dreams. They wake up with tears, with peace, or with a sense of having been seen. There's a sacredness to the experience that defies logical explanation. And while skeptics may attribute these dreams to memory, emotion, or stress, the one who dreamed often knows there was something more. They carry the experience in their hearts, not as fantasy, but as a moment of quiet revelation. It's important to note that not all of these dreams are peaceful. Some are intense, even troubling. But even then, they may serve a higher purpose. A disturbing dream about the dead might be a spiritual signal to examine one's own life, to confront unresolved guilt, or to awaken to a deeper spiritual hunger. In this way, even the unsettling dreams have meaning. They aren't meant to bring fear, but to provoke reflection, change, and growth. Throughout history, from ancient civilizations to modern cultures, people have reported similar experiences. Whether it's a grandmother appearing with a warning, a father coming back with a message of love, or a child saying goodbye, these dreams cross all cultural and religious boundaries. They point to a shared human experience, one that acknowledges there is more to this world than what we see. That dreams can be more than memories, that they can be messages wrapped in mystery, signals from a realm we barely understand. And in those signals, we often find exactly what our soul needs most. Sometimes the people who appear in our dreams after they have passed are not there to simply comfort us or revisit the past. There are moments when their presence feels like a nudge, a call, a reminder of something we've left undone or abandoned along the way. In these dreams, the dead don't just symbolize memory. They represent mission. They come not to dwell in what was, but to wake us up to what still could be. Often they return in our dreams to remind us of unfinished callings, of purposes we once felt but may have set aside, of paths we started to walk but never finished. There is a weight to legacy. Every life leaves behind a trail of influence, and for those who have shaped us deeply, that trail doesn't end with their last breath. It continues in the lives they touch. Many people carry the torch of a parent's wisdom, a mentor's advice, a friend's inspiration, even long after that person is gone. Sometimes, however, life's distractions or pains cause us to forget. We drift from the dreams we once had, the values we once held, or the promises we once made. That's when the past has a way of showing up in the present, not just as a memory, but as a call to action. Dreams of the dead often come when we're at a crossroads, when decisions need to be made, when doubt clouds the future, or when fear holds us back. In that uncertain moment, a familiar face returns in a dream, not by accident, but as a spark. A teacher who once encouraged you to speak up may appear when you've been silent for too long. A grandparent who taught you strength may show up when you feel weak. A friend who believed in your talent may return when you've started to doubt your gift. The dream becomes a divine echo of the encouragement, conviction, or challenge they once gave in life. The unfinished calling may not be something dramatic. It could be as simple as a life lesson you've forgotten or a habit you've let go of. Sometimes we dream of people we haven't thought about in years, but their appearance reminds us of something within ourselves that we've neglected. They stand in the dream not only as who they were, but as a reflection of who we are meant to become. Their presence reawakens our original convictions, the pure intentions we once carried, the sense of purpose we used to feel. There is often a sense of urgency in these dreams. Even if the mood is calm, the emotional after effect lingers. You wake up feeling like something important just happened, even if you can't explain it. That's the power of the dream. It bypasses logic and hits the soul. It reopens the file drawer of your purpose, and inside you find names, visions, assignments, and missions that were never fully fulfilled. The dream isn't always literal, but its impact is real. It reminds you that your story is still being written, and that there are pages left unfinished, waiting for your attention. For some, these dreams spark a return. They return to a forgotten craft, a dormant gift, a spiritual path, or a community they once served. The dream awakens a memory of when life felt aligned and meaningful. For others, it's not about going backward but forward, picking up the baton that someone else dropped. A mother's compassion, a father's discipline, a sibling's courage. They left it behind, and now you are being reminded that it's your turn to carry it. Sometimes the dream is not about continuing someone else's path, but about completing your own. The person who appears may be someone you disappointed, someone you never got to say the truth to, someone whose opinion mattered. Their return in the dream becomes a push to resolve what you left undone, not for them, but for you. It's about growth, about finding peace, not just with the past, but with the part of yourself that still hears their voice and feels their influence. There are also times when the dream reveals a new layer of calling, something you didn't see before. The dead may come not only as reminders, but as guides. They don't speak audibly, but their appearance stirs thoughts you haven't thought in years. Their image brings focus. Their eyes speak volumes. You realize that even though they're gone, the lessons they gave and the love they shared still live in you. And maybe now it's your time to take those gifts and use them in a way that fulfills not only their legacy, but also your destiny. There are dreams that leave us puzzled, dreams that we forget by morning. And then there are those rare dreams that carve themselves into our hearts, the ones where the dead speak. Whether through words, expressions, or presence, when someone who has passed away communicates in a dream, it carries a weight that goes beyond explanation. These dreams feel like sacred encounters, often filled with meaning that lingers long after we wake up. And in those mysterious moments, many find clarity, direction, or a deep emotional shift that seems to arrive from a place far beyond the subconscious. When a departed loved one speaks in a dream, it's not just the words we hear, it's the emotion, the atmosphere, the timing. These words often feel divinely timed. They don't sound like casual conversation. They strike chords inside of us that we didn't know were still waiting to be played. People who have had these experiences often describe them as profoundly real, more vivid than waking life, and filled with an unmistakable sense that something or someone was trying to reach them. The messages themselves vary, but the patterns are strikingly consistent. Sometimes it's a simple phrase, "I'm okay," or "don't worry." These short sentences carry enormous power. They speak to the deepest fears and questions we carry. Is my loved one at peace? Are they angry with me? Do they know how much I miss them? Just a few words in a dream can soothe years of silent pain and offer a form of comfort that no one else on earth could give. Because it comes from them, from the one voice we've longed to hear. Other times the message is a challenge. It's not just comfort to push. The dead may say things like, "Oh, you have more to do," or "keep going." These aren't just motivational words, they're deeply personal. They feel like a continuation of conversations that were never finished, like echoes of guidance that still resonate from the grave. These dreams often come in moments when we're ready to give up, when we're lost, or when we've grown numb. The voice of a loved one can break through that numbness with precision, shaking us awake and reigniting purpose where despair had settled. In many cases, the voice in the dream is one we know intimately. It might be a parent, a grandparent, a sibling, a friend, someone whose words shaped us when they were alive. And when they speak again, it's not just their voice we hear, it's their character, their essence. We remember how they made us feel, what they stood for, how they lived. And in that moment, their message becomes more than words. It becomes a call to live differently, to honor them, to rise in the way they would have wanted us to. Even when the dream is brief or the message unclear, there's often a deep knowing in the soul that something significant has occurred. You wake up changed, even if you can't explain why. There's a softness, a tearfulness, a sense of being seen. These messages bypass intellect and speak directly to the spirit. And often they bring a peace that had been missing, a sense of resolution that wasn't found in therapy sessions, conversations, or journaling. It came in the quiet hours of the night through the gentle voice of someone who loved you from another realm. Sometimes the communication is symbolic rather than verbal. A gesture, a smile, a silent embrace. In the dream, you know what it means, even if no words are exchanged. The dead have a way of speaking through presence. A father who never said, "I love you" in life might simply smile and nod in the dream, and it breaks something open inside of you. A child who passed too soon might run into your arms and hold on without speaking, and that hug carries 1,000 unspoken truths. The meaning of these dreams is not always immediately clear, but over time they begin to unfold in the heart. A message heard in a dream might not make sense in the moment, but days, weeks, or even years later, its meaning becomes undeniable. The timing, the emotion, the content, they all start to align with what's unfolding in your life. It's as if the message came early, ahead of a moment when you'd need it most. These moments of dream communication with the dead are not reserved for the spiritual elite or the deeply religious. They happen to people across all walks of life, regardless of belief. And almost universally, the experience changes something in the person. It reopens doors they thought were shut. It softens wounds they thought would never heal. It brings back the voice of someone whose influence is still needed, still alive, still guiding.